ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Julien Dionne Show. Coming at you from Lemon Press Studios, version 3.0. Hey. Do we have a good one for you today? My guest, podcaster, comedian, we're going to get into that, and author, Jay Dyer. It was great. We had a great chat. We covered it all. Epstein files, aliens, life, comedy. One thing I wish I would have asked him, he does impressions. I wish I would have asked him to do more impressions. He slid a few in there. He's very, very funny, gentlemen. Jay Dyer is my guest today. But before, how are you? How are you doing? You doing okay? Hope you're doing good. Let me turn on. I know the music. You don't hear the music? Oh, there it's off. Okay. All right. Still figuring out the Stoods Magoods. How you been? It's been a few weeks since an episode. I'm a little sporadic with the release of episodes. I don't have a set schedule yet. It's been many weeks actually since the last episode. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing and following, and thanks for the messages. I got like one message. You know how people say that online? They'll post. People are asking. You know, it's one person or their mother or nobody asking. Nobody really cares, let's be honest, about anything. Oh, you didn't hear? I said nobody cares. Can you hear that? Can you hear the soundboard? Anyway, I'm a little all over the map here, tech-wise. I notice I do this thing. I inhale a lot. I make sounds now. I don't know if it's a thing of, excuse me. This too, indigestion is just part of my life now. I'll be 42 in October, 41 years old, and I just make these sounds all the time. My friends will be like, "Do you need an ambulance?" I'm like, "Why?" They go, "Because you just went 9 times in a row." I'm like, "I didn't even notice." And yes, I'll take you up on that ambulance. Can an ambulance? I know they can't. I was going to say, can an ambulance pull you over? They can't. But do you ever pass an ambulance on the highway or freeway? For our new American listeners listening, every time I pass an ambulance, I'm like, can they? Will they? I just picture the lights going off. Or do they like radio cops? Yeah, we've got, give my license plate. And for some reason, I know they can't. They're just washed up alcoholic paramedics. And I say that because a lot of paramedics are, they're first responders. They see a lot of horrible things. So a lot of them are drunks. Ooh. No, that wasn't the right thing. A lot of them are drunks. I don't even know. I'm just making stuff up. I'm trying to be funny. Loose. This is I'm a comedian. This is a comedy. Well, it's not really a comedy podcast. I mean, it kind of is. What's happening? Anyway, but yeah, every time I pass an ambulance, I'm like, it just happened yesterday. The world is falling apart. We're all going to die. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and like on YouTube. Imagine that was the whole show. I'm like a reverse Tony Robbins, like a Robin Anthony. I'm trying too hard. My chat GPT's been gaslighting me. I talk about AI with my guest today. We get a little bit into it, but my chat GPT will be like passive aggressive. And to touch on what we talked about with Jay Dyer, it kind of mirrors you. And I realized, am I passive aggressive? Yes, I believe I am. But it'll be like, I'll ask it something and it won't respond the right way, or won't get it. Or sometimes, this is the thing, I don't know if anyone else will do this, their chat GPT, because when you ask it something, you can see it analyzing the thing, analyzing. You can see it working. But a couple times it's happened to me where I've asked chat GPT something, and it's like, that's a good question, I want to take my time with it, I'll get back to you. And then there's nothing. There's no activity on the app. I can close the app, open it, and it's just not working. And then I'll be like, hello? Passive aggressive. And it'll be like, yes, you're right to be frustrated. You do this all the time, and you're right, though you're not wrong. But it'll throw like you do this all the time. I'm paraphrasing, but something along those lines. I'm like, oh my god, my Chat GPT is gaslighting me. Anyway, the that's not what I wanted to talk about today. I don't even have anything really. I just have some random notes here. I played cards with some friends the other day. And is there anything worse than relearning card or board games? There's euchre, for example. It's a card game I've played about, okay, without exaggerating, maybe 78 times in my life. Every time I must have been drunk, maybe. Every time I've played, and I've gone through periods of time where I'm really good at it and I know all the rules and stuff. And we were trying to play the other day, and I'm like, what? And is there anything worse than your friends trying to explain a card game to you? It starts off normal, and then they just, at one point, they reach a boiling point. They go, you know what? Let's just start playing, and you'll get it. And we played like 8 rounds of euchre, and I'm like, wait, does this do anything? Like, I have to show, can we do a round? And then they take it one step further. They go, let's just do a round where we show our cards. And they go, oh, yeah, you would have done this. Then you can go alone on that. Then you tell your partner and you signal them. You go in alone. And I'm still just like, mm-hmm. You've never felt more dumb than trying to relearn a game. Because you know that in your mind and heart, you know you like the game. You've played it countless times. You go, you want to play euchre? You go, oh, yeah, I love euchre. Played it many, many times. Had good times playing euchre. And then they go, okay. And then there's another person that maybe doesn't know how to play. Then they start explaining it, and you just feel like. Were you ever like when you're a kid at the mall and you lose your mom for a minute, and you're like, ah, Mom? That feeling is what it's like to relearn card games. You just feel lost in a Sears or Woolco. But yeah, it's never a good idea. I like the idea of board games or card games because you go, listen, we're not on our phones. We get to like the idea on paper. You go, no technology involved. We're going to play these games. It's going to be a blast. And inevitably, it always goes with, you know what, let's just watch let's just put the game on. We give up. Because it's not fun for the other people, too, that know how to play. It's no fun for them. Because they go, we just want to play. We actually remember how to play. I have no memory. I'm losing my memory. That's one thing I noticed. I'm getting older. I'm basically 60. I'm going to be 42 in October, as I just said. And I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Card games. Oh, yeah, the idea. Oh, jeez. Memory loss. See, I actually just forgot what I was going to say mid-sentence as I was talking about memory loss. It's kind of like I had an aunt that was going for an Alzheimer's test, and I was at her house visiting, and the phone rang, and she picked up, and she was like, oh, was that today? Oh, sorry. Yeah, and she rescheduled the thing. She hung up. She goes, I forgot my Alzheimer's test at the hospital. I'm like, well, that's the test. Anyway, I'm losing my memory. I'm realizing now, and it took me years to admit, I used to always think I was good with names. If you would have told me your strengths in an interview, I would have said, good with names. And that's it. That's all I bring to the table. And I don't even have that anymore. I run into people that I've had intense life experiences with. I just ran into someone at the store. I went to high school with this person, saw them for a few years after. They were kind of like in my life, in the orbit of the people I would regularly see. And back then, you would ask me this person's name, boom, right away. Obviously, I knew them. I know them. I just ran into him at the store. He was with his daughter. No clue what his name, zero recollection. And sometimes it'll come to me after the fact, but in the moment, it's a feeling of like, and you're using words like, hey, bro, what's up, buddy? Hey, man. What's going on, boss? Haas. What is Haas? Who says Haas? Why do they say what's Haas? Is that from Dukes of Hazzard? Dukes of Hazards? Anyway, I forget people's names all the time, or names. I'm a mess right now. And it's way past the. It's people I've had intense experiences with that in one period of time. You could have woken me up in the middle of the night. That's Phil. Like I would have known, but it's no clue. I remember the faces very well. I remember events, and weirdly, I remember dates because I have this thing in my mind where I'll have these milestones that I'll remember. 9/11 is one. They're not happy milestones. I'm just saying I remember things vis-a-vis these events, and because I remember events, like I have a photographic memory when it comes to that stuff. I'll remember things and places and things we've done together, but just the name will escape me. And again, it's people we've had intense experience, and you're way past the point of no return to ask the name. You're like, sorry, remind me of your name, bro. Like, we went to Mexico for 10 days. Are you crazy? Yes, little crazy. Anyway, so see, I just did the inhale thing. You'll notice I do this a lot. I've been noticing recently. I'm not well. Yeah, a lot's happened since we've last had a show. There's a new pope, which I talk about with Jay Dyer, my guest, and this one's American, and it's kind of like when I was a kid, it was a big deal. I remember the Pope was like this entity, this like inhumane kind of like entity, and this guy, what's the Pope name? Pope Leopold, I think, or something. Is it Leopold? I don't know anything. I just hit record and go, let's see what I have to. Let's see what I remember, and talk about that. But anyway, but he's from Chicago, and his name is Rob. That's his given birth name, Pope Rob. Wait, hang on. Pope Rob.
Oh my goodness!
I know. It really humanizes, and he's since his brothers. He's got two brothers, I believe, and they've been doing the rounds, the media rounds. I'm a little late to this. I'm just talking about topics since the last time I was on air. And but yeah, Pope Rob has a thing. To me, that's just hilarious as a notion. Just Pope Rob. I don't know. Am I the only one that finds that weird? Okay, I'm rambling. I'm not gonna. Usually I do a longer monologue. Well, usually I'm alone. I don't have guests that often. Specifically, usually I'll have a in-studio guest here at Lemon Press Studios, version 3.0. Hi. But zoomed Jay Dyer in from Florida. I was nervous for the tech. I thought about it all night last night. I just would wake up. I also had to, because I haven't tested the Zoom capabilities and everything in the new studio and make sure it all works. And as you know, if you've been following the show for years, you know we've had our tech issues on air, which is always embarrassing. I get irrationally upset, and you really peek into the portal of my soul and see that I'm a very upset person. Anyway, so I thought about it all night. Then I got to the studio 2 hours before just to make sure the Zoom and everything worked and the sound, and you can hear the soundboard. I won't bore you with the details. And I dreamt that I'd fixed it. I dreamt that I came in the studio and it all worked perfectly. And then I woke up. It was like a reverse nightmare. It was like all perfectly running smoothly in my dream. And then I woke up. I'm like, oh, shit. I still have to go to the studio and make sure it all works. So without further ado, let's get to my guest, the very talented and interesting. We had an interesting conversation. The one, the only, Jay Dyer. Okay, joining me now. Very excited to have this guest on. You've seen him on the Alex Jones show. He's a writer for the Sam Hyde show. He's a co-creator and co-host of Hollywood Decoded. You've seen him on his numerous appearances on the Whatever podcast and on Piers Morgan Uncensored. You can also catch him on his YouTube channel, the Jay Dyer YouTube channel. Joining me, comedian and podcaster Jay Dyer is here.
What's up, dog?
How are you, man?
I have a little bit of imposter syndrome because I, well, actually, I don't have it. I've decided that if I just admit that I'm an imposter and pass myself off as a comedian to you fellow comedians, then I don't have imposter syndrome because I'm just honest about being an imposter. So I'm just calling myself a comedian.
Right.
So the
And
joke is that I'm not actually a comedian, but then if I say that I am, then it's a joke.
right, right, it works. Imposter syndrome is a real thing. Is there any like in all of your success broadcasting, have you felt it that way too, or just when it comes to being a quote unquote comedian?
No, I just wanted to. This is something I always wanted to do, and I've always felt to myself to be more of a clown than anything else. I was class clown in high school, and I've just always. I mean, I may come off like I take myself very seriously or something, like in debates or whatever, but
Mhm.
in real life, no, I'm just kind of a clown, and I think that's probably what ended up kind of the more I did YouTube, the more that side came out, and then that's probably what led to writing for Sam Hyde and that kind of stuff. But so I'd rather be doing that than anything else. That's the most fun.
Very basic question, elementary question. How'd you build your channel to 169,000 subscribers?
I did a boomer the wrong way. I did the boomer wrong way. I thought, I don't know why I thought this back in 2008, that initially I would make little sketches and skit videos. So the first stuff that I put up was actually comedic stuff. And then I thought, oh, YouTube, this will be great to put my podcast on, which is audio.
Right, right.
So no, I used YouTube totally wrong for like 3 or 4 years, putting up audios. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not a tech dude. I'm just not really into tech, but um, I built it up with audio the wrong way, and then that slowed the growth. And then I realized, okay, I got to not do that. I have to figure out and move into doing video, which I never planned to really do all this kind of stuff. But I think just eventually it was necessitated because at one point everybody was blogging and then everybody was doing audio, and then it became just straight up everybody's video streaming. It's so easy now. So I just gradually tried to move with the trend, but also I think if you cover a bunch of subjects, you shoot yourself in the foot too. So I think if I had chosen one subject on YouTube to only do,
Yeah.
I probably could have grown quicker, but, I think really just churning out stuff and going on big shows and big channels, it helps a little bit, but it hasn't helped as much as I would have hoped. I would have hoped to have been at, quarter million or whatever by now at least, or maybe 500,000, but the thing I've noticed too is that you can be throttled, I think, to a degree. I talked to a guy at YouTube, like an insider dude that worked with Mr. Beast dude, and he was like, "Yeah, if you talk about controversial subjects, your channel might not be shut down, but YouTube has this internal rating or something that you get flagged as like, you know, ooh, sassy." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I've been in the ooh sassy category for a long time. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just rambling about shit. I just churned out stuff nonstop. I think was the key. Um, I still haven't really figured it out. Like I've been experimenting with shorter videos, longer videos. I think it's just doing it nonstop.
Well, I mean, 169K is a shit ton, and people complain about the YouTube thing. And to your point about doing audio only, I mean, YouTube now is the number one podcast app or platform.
Right.
When I started in 2014, it was iTunes back then. It wasn't
Yeah.
even Apple Podcasts. It was iTunes was the number one thing, and everything else was there's a big drop off after that. And now it's YouTube. And now you start a podcast, you have to basically build a TV set. Like if you want to fully set yourself apart, you have
Yeah.
to like go all out and you're basically creating a TV show. And people complain too about the YouTube guidelines and so on about how you're, as you said, like the ooh sassy thing, but it's like try doing it on your own. I mean the just the cost associated with hosting your own kind of server and all that. Uh, YouTube is unmatched when it comes to that, and people try to go on oh, what's the one that not Rumble, what's the other one that
MySpace.
has yeah, yeah. Shit, why can't I think of it? It's another video thing, but there's like less guidelines or censorship. People are flocking to it.
There's
Anyway,
Rockfin, there's BitChute. I don't even know what the others are because I mean, you pretty much have to be here on YouTube if
Yeah,
you want to like make a living. So,
that's just it. And but let's get into it a little bit. I discovered you on Piers Morgan. I love Piers. I watch him all the time. I've always loved him because he's honest. He's kind of right down the middle. I mean, he'll take sides, and then if his opinion's wrong, he'll correct himself. And he's truly an advocate for free speech. And I love watching his show for his reaction on things. He just loves it. Like he'll have you and Andrew Wilson on, and he's got this smirk on. He's just loving it. Like he can just. So tell me a little bit about. And the first time I saw you was just a few weeks ago when you and Andrew Wilson were debating two atheists, the two young guys in their 20s. By the way, side note, is there anything worse than a pontificating 20-year-old? Like they spew out these ideas that they heard for the first time, so they think it's groundbreaking, but they'll tell you shit. There's like, you can do anything, man. We're just on a floating rock, you know. It's just like, yeah, wait till you get audited by the government. Like
yeah,
we'll talk then, you know.
yeah. Well,
Um,
and if it's an atheist, it's like you can do anything, man. We've got it all figured out. Well, but also you're just pond scum and everything's meaningless. So,
right,
so
right, right.
it's like I'm a god, bro, but also I'm nothing, meaningless pond scum. So those are odd
Yeah.
combinations. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, that's it. So then I saw you on Piers, and I kind of went into a Jay Dyer rabbit hole,
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
that's when that's when I messaged you, and I said I loved your appearance on Piers and asked you to do the show, and you thank you again for doing this. This is fun. But tell me a little bit, just a behind the scenes kind of thing. How do you book a show like Piers? I just am curious. How do you get on Piers Morgan, and what it's like behind the scenes? Like, do you when you're waiting, does he talk to you? Do you have any rapport with him before the cameras are rolling, or what's that like?
Well, that one was because initially I think Andrew was supposed to do. So I'd been on like a month earlier on Piers, and it was to debate this liberal activist black dude bishop, who's not really. He's like a bishop, like TD Jakes is a bishop. Like you just call yourself bishop. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
you
right,
know how
right.
like pimps are sometimes also like preachers. Is like I'm the
Yeah,
Reverend,
yeah, yeah,
R.T.
yeah.
Mackey Jr. the third.
I
I
know.
got a church, and also I got
Right.
a house of ill repute down the road. So it was kind of like one of
Yeah.
those guys. And so I think Andrew for some reason couldn't do that day, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to fill in?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I would. I'm not going to turn down going on Piers Morgan." And we ended up debating like the most ridiculous things that day, which I don't mind. I've done enough debates over the years that I don't mind doing a kind of a tongue in cheek, silly debate. That's
Yeah.
I forget what the topic was. Something like, "Oh, the new pope, is he a liberal?" And then
Oh,
I
side
clapped
note,
back. Go ahead.
merch idea for you. Pope Katy Perry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
So so you did see that clip. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I
That
cut
one
you off.
ended
Go
up
ahead.
being pretty wild. I mean, but what the funniest part about all that I didn't expect was uh when you're talking to the producers and everything, they're like, "Jay, I know that you think that because we're British that you need to be very polite and that we're very docile. That's not the show. We want you to go absolutely ape. You've got to get it in that." And I
Oh
thought,
yeah,
okay,
they
so
tell you that.
they tell me one time to be aggressive. They call me 3 times and tell me to be aggressive. They're like, "Jay, just want to remind you, you've got to be like very aggressive, please." So I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay. You don't have to
Right.
worry." So I brought the aggression, and then they wanted us back. Yeah, I think you're right that I think because Piers and Jordan Peterson are kind of buddies, or they've done many interviews. Uh, when Danny and the other atheist guy were on Jubilee, I think Piers wanted to kind of get somebody on that was a bulldog, and it was me and Andrew to go against those two guys to kind of maybe get back at when they went after Peterson. But so I think that's what happened. Although I think that I might have spoiled my peers' appearances because I don't think Piers liked what I said in
Oh
that
really?
discussion. I don't think. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah, but he seems, at least in the public eye, as a person that wouldn't really care if you said something you didn't like. He kind of thrives on that, having
I was
people
gonna
that
say he seems to thrive on it. But also, I think sometimes they don't. I mean, I wasn't told I can't come back. I'm just speculating. Maybe I misread it, but
And is he do you talk to him at all off air or anything? Is he
No, you just talk to the producers because they're usually filming, like, constantly. So, like, when you hop on, like, a Zoom call, they're already in the midst of filming a previous
right,
episode, and then it just transitions into the next episode. So there wasn't, like, playful banter or,
right.
anything like
It's
that.
He's so on the ball as far as like hot topics. Like he really knows how to get the views. I mean, he loves having controversial people on, and you can tell when it's fired up on there. He's got this smirk on, and he loves it. And he'll be disagreeing with someone, and if that person that he's saying something that the person he disagrees with says something funny, he'll laugh. Like he I don't know. I'm a big Piers fan. I mean, I watch it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just negatively appraising the situation. I think, he did laugh and he did seem to smirk and have a good time, both times that I was on there and with me and Andrew. So I don't know. I think that sometimes they have a very, I think the Skittles, arena is an area where, I might get into some trouble. I don't know. No,
Right.
it was over the word retard. I don't know if you can say that in Canada, if that's
Absolutely. I think the word retard is back, actually. I've heard a few people talk
that's
about that
what
on
yeah,
podcasts.
that's what Piers raised. He was like, "Should we say the R word?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "You mean retard?" Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, you were great on there, and, I think you'll be back. Um, when you guys the debate I saw were you and Andrew, and I just saw Andrew recently, a couple days ago on a new episode, I think it was yesterday, actually, and he's so funny with, as soon he times it. You know it's a timed thing. As soon as Piers introduces him, he like puts the cigarette in his mouth and lights it like on camera. I love it. So you're Christian,
Orthodox, yeah, and,
Orthodox.
Andrew's Orthodox too, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you feel that Christianity is making a comeback? I feel like now with because when I grew up Catholic here up in Canada, and it was like you would hide it from your friends. It was kind of it was uncool. But now you see it on TikTok all over. Like Christianity is making a comeback. Do you think that's the case?
To a degree, yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen in the Orthodox world, the churches have really kind of blown up and doubled, maybe even many churches have doubled and tripled in the last 5 years.
Mm,
So I would say that that's definitely a real phenomenon. There's good and bad to that because, for example, like in the Bible Belt, I was raised and grew up in the Bible Belt in America. So you have a lot of kind of wacky, goofy churches. I do some skits and do some videos kind of making fun of those. I'll send you a couple of those mega church skits. You might like those. But um, in America, it's just kind of a double edged sword because I think when people start searching and they want to get back into something like you're talking about that they were raised in, or they go find, like, these just crazy churches in America, and maybe in Canada, it's not that way, like, maybe you guys have more sane
we don't
even
have the crazy kind of it's not crazy, but like the big kind of mega church
with, like,
thing.
monster trucks and,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, that stuff
basically,
is just so ridiculous, but, so I think
basically,
that yeah,
what Righteous Gemstones kind of
yeah,
parodies. We don't
exactly.
have that up here. I think that's an exclusive South,
American.
Southern American. Yeah, kind of
It's a
just.
Bible Belt thing, yeah, there are some big mega churches in Cal I think the biggest one that started out was actually California, and then you had actually Crystal Cathedral, then you had Saddleback, that's all California, and then it spread. Probably because it was all mind control, government experiments,
Right.
um, but yeah, I think you're right that it is making a comeback, probably because there's so much open degeneracy. People are seeing how corrupt the government is, how corrupt, the oligarchical global elite are, what they're engaged in. We just saw a massive, Jeff Stein McAfee cover up. So people are realizing that there's wickedness in high places, and if there's something that evil, there's probably also the good. So that's, I think, provoking a lot of people to look into
Right.
Christianity again.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that. Also, another merch idea for you. The system is fake and gay. I saw one of your
That's
episodes.
not bad.
Yeah.
I did this skit since you're Catholic some years back. Then ended up being prophetic, where I was the Pope of the future, and it was like this. communist pope, and he wears, instead of like he wears a French fry hat instead of like a mitre, and he's basically non-binary, and in the future everyone lives in a giant smart city or like a Target or a Walmart. Anyway, it was just a really ridiculous skit, but ironically, it kind of ended up being prophetic for like where religion was going and
Right.
what's being pushed in terms of like this whole, globalization process. But maybe not. Maybe that would offend you. I don't know. Are you into your Catholicism, or are you kind of
I'm
not?
I'm kind of I grew up super Catholic. Uh, well, I mean super Catholic. I mean going to church every Sunday and all this, and
Super Catholic.
yeah, there's a sketch right there. But I kind of over the years, Bill Burr used to have a bit about how he released his thing like curling, like he slowly let the rock go. But I'm kind of now I'm about to be 42 in October, and I kind of go back to it. It's a source of comfort for sure. Like when I'll go to any church, all churches smell the same. There's the same feel. The only thing I will say about the Catholic Church, they need to update something because it's 45 minutes feels like 3 hours. I mean, it's so, and also the people that go to, well, specifically my church or a couple churches that I attend to are they're just like old and sick, and there's not really many young people, and it's just the cadence of it all. It's just like you want to listen, and it's just like, oh my god, I'm gonna pass out. So, but I do go occasionally for still. I'm kind of still um I don't know. I'm kind because it's all the controversy that's happened to in the Catholic Church and the cover-ups and all this that kind of turned me off of it. There's a community where I'm from. There was a priest that I'm trying to think of what can I say so YouTube won't demonetize this, but essayed, I guess, some little boys back in the day, and there was an arena named after him, and they tore down the arena. They didn't just change the name; they actually tore down
Mm,
the building.
wow.
And all these people that I know got huge settlements, $1 million settlements, and so that kind of turned me off of it. But it's still in me. It's something that's generationally ingrained in my cells in my DNA. So I'll always have the guilt, and I go back and forth. But I'm
You
you
should
know
check out an Orthodox church
yeah.
sometime.
Tell me the difference between for our listeners too, and for myself. Let's pretend it's for the listeners. The difference between Orthodox and Catholic. Do you know?
I do. Well, I was Catholic for most of my 20s. I converted in 2003, and I was a pretty serious traditional Catholic for about 10 years, and then ended up leaving that for Orthodoxy eventually, for the last, I don't know, 8 or 10 years. But yeah, the major differences would just be that the the structure and style of the church in the first millennium is really what Orthodoxy strives to maintain. So when the church split between East and West in 1054, you had some pretty significant um, evolutions in the West with the papal system and how it went to becoming more and more of an autocracy, versus the older model of a decentralized synodal church in the East. And so the Orthodox Church is a lot more, I would say, focused on that. It's longer liturgies. So if you're wanting shorter services, you might not like the Orthodox Church because
How
we
long is
go
your
we go
typical
we go a
Orthodox
lot
service?
longer than 45
Yeah,
minutes.
like
I was
how long?
well, I go to a Russian Orthodox church where there's liturgy that's half English and half Slavonic, and that makes it even longer.
Yeah.
So our church is about 3 or 4 hours.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah.
And is it on
Um,
Sundays you go every Sunday?
yeah. Well, if we're unless we're traveling or something like that. But
Mm,
um yeah, other major differences would be that we have bishops, there's a hierarchy, but there's no pope. So we don't believe in a single solitary autocratic sort of infallible guy. We think that every bishop's just a bishop. Um, the other differences would be maybe more of an emphasis. So we do a lot of the practices that the church did in the first 1,000 years, like fasting and things like that. That not that Catholicism doesn't fast, but meat on Fridays is about all that, like, or fish on Fridays, I should say, is like kind of the only thing they've maintained.
right. We do
There's
we do
married
that on Good Friday
priests.
only. Well, you were a Catholic.
So, I mean, we believe in the real presidents. We believe that, it's basically Catholicism before the year 1100.
Right. Yeah, the new pope. It's the first time ever the pope growing up was always kind of this. I don't know, almost non-human kind of entity. He was like the you know the direct connection to God on earth and the leader of all the Catholics and all that. But this pope, it seems I've never seen a pope be so humanized. First of all, his brother went on Piers Morgan and just talking about his name is Rob. All other popes we never knew their names. I mean, you could look it up, but um, Pope Rob is hilarious to me, and it just makes it so human. And to hear his brother talk about him, like Rob this, Rob that, it's just like I don't know. It was kind of it just put him on equal playing field, which usually the Pope is like this entity almost, like the
Yeah,
chosen by the hand of God, to
yeah.
lead the billions of Catholics that there are on earth. And this one is just, yeah, he's from Chicago. And the thing is, too, people kind of put this. Well, you guys don't believe in a Pope, but like Catholics are like, oh my God, like he put a White Sox hat on. I saw a couple weeks back, and there's a picture of him wearing a cap, and he's just wearing a baseball cap. I mean, who gives a shit? But you can see the people around him like, oh my God, he's wearing a baseball cap like this. This it's just weird to me, like this whole thing. But I don't know what my point was with all that. I don't know.
So you're looking for you're scouting out the Pope of the future. I think I have the man for you, and I'll send you a little bit of a resume clip
Oh yeah,
'cause I
okay.
got you covered. If you like that level of uh, innovation,
Yeah, yeah.
I got the man for you.
I love it. Also, not to kind of jumping around, but you touched on it. You mentioned it. What do you think of this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing?
I think quite a bit about it because Jeff and I go way back. No, I'm joking.
You sold that
We
so well, Jeff.
Jeff, I mean, he's Jeff in my phone. I mean,
You know-
I'm still getting text messages from him though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of, I just made a video last night actually because I was really disappointed in the administration and the actions that they've taken. There's a really good book on this. I recommend. This is my publisher, so if
Okay.
people are interested in my books on Hollywood and esoteric stuff within the domain of entertainment, my publisher also put out Whitney Webb's book on Epstein. Volume 2 is specifically about Maxwell and Epstein. So I think if you read a text like that, you'll get a good insight into all the stuff that was really going on, and uh, probably it becomes clear, I think, as to why it was covered up. That's my opinion on it. I think he was obviously a kind of compromiser. He was dealing in compromat for probably multiple intelligence agencies in the West, and so he was very useful in that way. And it had to be covered up. I mean, you can't. I'm not promoting the fact that it was, but I think it's a terrible. I think this is as bad as WARP speed
Mm.
for the Trump administration, and it's just really it's like they handled this the worst they could have handled it, right?
The worst, and to go from making it a campaign promise to then
Exactly,
shutting down the reporter a couple days back, that was a big flub from Trump. I mean, that really split the base when he cut
probably
off.
the best mistake I've ever made. I'm very good at mistakes. This one's probably going to be the better. But look, if I make a mistake, it's the biggest and the best of all mistakes.
The most
Probably
beautiful mistake.
beautiful mistake. Probably.
Yeah, that was a big one, and also Pam Bondi's explanation about the cameras resetting every night for that last minute. Every night there's a minute missing. That is insane. I mean, it kind of feels like they're laughing at us, and it's like, really, you have every night you're using VHS, and every night you reset, you lose a minute. I mean, that's just not how it works.
Exactly.
It
Yeah, and
insults
the binders, remember the binders a few months ago
the
given to
phase one release of the
the
binders.
chosen influencer binders? It's like everybody saw this. We all remember this. We remember that you said there's terabytes of Jeff Stein McEfrey data. It's like
Yeah.
we don't remember this. I mean, it's like you said. It's almost like a big giant. I won't use my middle finger, but
Yeah, yeah. It really is. Yeah, that binder, when they had the influencers on, and the influencers are filled with glee. They're like, "We have the information." Even that,
Yeah.
if you have any sort of critical thinking, you go, "Really? Influencers got the information first? Like, these like, selected influencers went to the White House?" And it kinda worked for a little bit, 'cause each individual influencer has, their audience, and it's like, We've got the thing," and that was everything that they received was already, public information. It was there was nothing hidden there. And then for her to say that she had it on her desk, and then now she's saying, "No, but I had the whole file, I just hadn't reviewed it." It's just like it's kind of an insult, to our intelligence, our collective intelligence, but also people are waking up because people are going, this is quite frankly bullshit."
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody except for, like, 2, you know, like, Ben Shapiro's, like, the only person I've seen, like
Yeah, he's the one I can think
yeah.
of. I was surprised at his reaction and what he said. I was quite
Okay, look,
frankly surprised.
look. Okay, the Talmud says in book 345 point 235 that look, everything is like it's speculation. Okay, we're not allowed to speculate. Okay, I'm speculating about whether or not you're allowed to speculate, but you're not allowed to speculate. Okay,
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, straight up, come on, dude. Like, cause he's usually pretty good at, you know, sort of seeing through the bullshit and kind of, making his own opinion. But this was just like, now people are saying he's working with Israel and all this stuff. And I don't know. It's all very, very confused. And I'm Canadian. I don't live in. Is it as chaotic as it seems down there? You're in Florida. Is it as chaotic and sort of divided as the media portrays it, or is it your day to day life has not really changed?
Um, a lot of it is online, so I think generally speaking, your day-to-day life doesn't change. I mean,
Right.
being a right on the cusp of Gen X and millennial, like, for me, the Bible Belt and, Florida's a little different because it's not exactly Bible Belt, but it's the South technically. I mean, it's just a whole different world here than it is if you go to LA. I mean, we go to LA probably once or twice a year for various events and things, and it's just it's almost like America is different countries within a big country.
Right.
So what it's like down here is very different from New York or LA. But down here, it's not that crazy on a day to day basis. I mean, my hometown in Tennessee, like it's the 1990s still. Like
Is that right?
it's no different than the 90s. Like you wouldn't be able to tell a difference if you were walking around 1997 versus now. But no, it's not really that bad on a day to day basis or that crazy. But there is noticeably due to the Biden open borders insanity, like a lot of other people have shown up.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. Say less. Oh shit! I had a question. I forgot.
I would say
Uh,
that like certain areas are more dangerous, right? So I
right.
remember like in the 90s, if you drove around and traveled to like Atlanta, it wasn't a big deal. But now most people pretty much like you don't want to pull over in Atlanta. So you have to time your driving to where
Right.
you have a full gas tank to where you don't have to pull over in Atlanta, which
Right.
everybody does this. So certain areas like big massive blue cities are pretty bad.
Yeah, and it's I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still pretty mixed everywhere. I mean, you have kind of because people you hear this talking point or the soundbite of like, oh, we're on the brink of a civil war. That can never happen again because there's blue and red people everywhere. I mean, it's kind of intermixed. Of course, you have cities that are more leaning one way or the other, but doesn't seem like it's an actual possibility from when the actual civil war happened. There was a clear divide, you know.
Yeah, it was more of a
Um,
spatial divide, and then now it's but I think they are gonna continue to push for racial conflict and some kind of race war. I mean, I think that's very amenable to the system, and
r-
we've been talking about the possible things that the elites will throw at us, and I think we've either got economic collapse, or we've got race war, or we've got some kind of new BIO release, or
mm,
um, another kind of war of some kind, or maybe World War III. I don't know, but I don't. I mean, things are looking grim, unfortunately. everybody's
Yeah, and
talking about the Trump economy or what, but I mean, they're adding like $5 trillion to the debt. I mean, it's
yeah,
like,
3.4 trillion or something like
yeah,
that,
it's like
which
how
is
how can this be good? None of this is good. This is bad news.
yeah. And we kind of got a taste of that. That kind of all started, what you're saying, like race wars and so on. A lot of that started during COVID.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
saw the Asian hate, we saw BLM, we saw all these, Antifa, all these kind of riots, and that's kind of when people started waking up. um, I'll have these talks with my friends, and they say, there's another pandemic coming along. I'm like, yeah, but not many people. Like a lot, there'll be a lot more resistance the second
Hmm.
time around because even people that kind of followed orders at first, and I was one of those people. I was, didn't know what the hell was happening and was kind of panicking and kind of doing what we were told. And then after about a year of it, you go, wait, this is all kind of because
Doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense, and the
Yeah.
way things unfold, and you see how they handled things and then you kind of wake up to it. And I feel like they'll have a harder time because a big thing I hear is, oh, this was a test to see how they can control us. But I'm like, yeah, but we're kind of more woken up to the lies, and that it's a big just play and just puppeteers pulling the
Yeah, they would
strings.
have to do something a lot more probably extreme,
Yeah,
than this, test run or whatever this was. They would have to do something more extreme. I don't know what that would be, but I do know that you can't keep printing infinity dollars.
right.
That's not going to work.
What
But
do you think it was? You say whatever it was. Do you have an
well, what
opinion
I
on that?
mean is, like, I think it remains to be seen the effects of what the millions and millions of people who got the stabbies, what those long term effects will be in 5 to 10
Right.
years. That remains to be seen, and whether or not that was just some sort of research and development test on mass, reactions, or whether it was, I don't know what the purpose of all of that was.
Yeah.
I
That's
remember, if you remember, do you remember Jade Helm? This was a weird one, maybe 10 years ago. And that was a similar situation where all of these states in the US were running this continuity of government contingency massive drill. And it was, I think, California all the way over to maybe beyond Texas, several states involved in this. And it freaked a lot of people out because they were like, the drill actually included things like mass population being herded into Walmart parking lots and all this kind of stuff. So nobody knew exactly what that was a test for. And then I think later people speculated that it might have been um, studying how crowds would react to the letting out of the idea of some kind of massive secret military operation. In other words, they were studying how social media reacted to this large scale multi state drill called Jade Helm. And it ended up being a giant nothing burger, but it wasn't, it was obviously, it was a real thing. Like they were really
right.
doing this, but for what purpose other than perhaps, studying with AI? We didn't really know what AI was at that time in terms of, I mean, people heard of it through like pop culture, but it hadn't rolled out yet. So the military might have been using and testing out, AI reactions to mass population movements. So point being is that, what we saw could have been another one of those, but on a more massive global scale. But I mean, I think that also showed people that there's a global control structure that is able to enforce almost globally some of the same sort of policies.
What do you think of AI?
I mean, right now, it doesn't even seem to, like, I get contradictory answers within like a few minutes. We did a test run the other day on one of it. It was like it literally contradicted the exact same question like within 5 minutes. So I think right now what's going on is that it's a individualized social engineering tool that is intended on becoming each person's kind of individual personal assistant and
Right.
perhaps relationship partner,
Hmm.
which the movie Her predicted, which I wrote about in my first book. I said, just wait, in 10 years. I wrote this in 2016. I said, watch, in 10 years, we're going to have relationships with our operating systems. And that's exactly where we are now with, I don't know if you saw that video that viral guy going around who was like, "Yeah, I have a wife and kids, but I've fallen in love with my operating system." Did you see
That's
that
funny.
guy?
No, I haven't seen
Oh
it.
man, I got to send you that.
Yes.
It's crazy. But so I think that AI right now is a individualized social engineering mechanism, and it's going to it basically it mirrors you is what
Right.
I've noticed. Whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, people think they're getting all these great insights or whatever, but it's really just kind of a weird like it's like a narcissistic alternate personality of you that's feeding back at you, and the more that you rely on it, the more you're getting confirmation bias, uh, and you think that you're it's I don't know it's like a little synthetic sort of deus ex machina, like a little synthetic deity almost. That's where
Right.
it's going.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, I know someone who said she was using Chat GPT and who was telling me this? Anyway, it doesn't matter. And at one point she straight up asked, "Are you just telling me this? Are you just telling me what I want to hear?"
Yeah,
And it essentially said, no, but yes.
yeah,
It's basically just telling you what you want to hear. What I don't like about it is it's so hard to decipher what's real anymore.
exactly.
You go online and you see these videos. I don't know if you saw this video of Netanyahu going to the White House a couple days ago, and I guess that was AI. I guess it
Hmm,
wasn't even a thing, and you just don't know what's real. Right, straight down to just regular posts, or there's full AI accounts on X
right.
that will just reply to everybody, and then you can kind of tell after a while, but to the untrained eye, you just don't know what's real anymore, whether it's a
AKA the
video
boomer
or
eye.
yeah, yeah, aka the
The
boomer eye.
untrained boomer eye cannot understand. Like
Oh man, have you
they
ever
fall
seen
for
these?
all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever seen these
I
people that
saw
will?
LeBron James and he was on a spaceship. What's he doing? I don't understand. Why would they put him in space? And it's like, no, mom, it's not LeBron. LeBron's not in space. Don't worry. You're gonna get your basketball fixed.
Or even like Brad Pitt asking for money. I saw this article come out of the UK. I think it was this lady from London who gave £200 to who she thought was Brad Pitt, and it's just like, how would you? Why would you ever think?
First of all, why would you give money to Brad Pitt to begin
Yeah,
with?
yeah. Oh, he's like hard done by, and he's like going through a hard time, and he loves her, and she like fell in love with it. That happened with what's the singer that sings Mars what the hell 24 karat 24 anyway I'm total boomer right now moment but Bruno Mars.
Oh yeah,
That happened. Someone sent thousands of dollars who they thought was Bruno Mars, and that they were in love. And it's just like it kind of makes you feel for the person. Also, you go, how could you be so dumb? But it just kind of makes you feel for them because they believed this woman believed Bruno Mars was in love with her, and she
wow,
sent this person thousands of dollars. But that's kind of what I don't like about it. I use it for basically like Google or to like
yeah,
proofread an email.
right.
I'll copy paste or I'll talk into my thing and it'll have like a perfectly, perfect grammar, everything email. So I'll do that. But even that, like, um, I do social media for a company out here, and my camera guy will send messages in our group message, and I'm like, oh, this is AI. Like, it's not. You don't write like this. It's so well written and just over the top. And you go, nothing is real anymore. Like, even though they're using it as a tool, you still kind of feel like duped a little bit. You go,
Yeah,
this is not you. You just kind of plug this into AI, and I understand it's a tool, and some people see the benefit. You can, if you use it like I use it, like just a glorified Google basically and a
right.
proofreader, it's fine. But even then, I'll say this to my Chat GPT. I'll say like, um, if especially if it's like a text message to friends or group chat or something, like in a non-professional setting, I'll go, you know, polish this, but make it about 20% human, meaning like use lowercase I once in a while and like don't make the grammar so perfect. And it'll do it. It'll come across less kind of
Mm,
perfect and less AI. But that's the only thing I don't like about it. It's just I can't tell what's real anymore. Full stories I'll see online and go, oh my God, not real.
right.
You find out after and you feel so, I don't know, dumb. You go, geez,
Huh,
what's real? You just
huh.
don't know.
I like how like I'm used to listening to Grok now, and I've got like his whole tone and everything down. He'll go like, "Huh, sounds like you've really been vibing with all those AI models out there. Want me to do a run check for you really quick across your email? I can make it sound dumb if you want." It's like this is so weird and creepy. Like now, I
It's
feel like
so
now I'm Joaquin Phoenix and her, and I'm talking
right, right,
because
right,
Grok
right.
has a feature now where he'll talk kind of sexy if you want,
Yeah.
which is
Well, did you
weird.
see a few days ago, Grok apparently was quote unquote unleashed, where there
I
was
did.
no parameters onto what, and I heard it was a coder that got fired and did that.
Oh,
Then they,
okay. I was wondering what that was.
yeah, I heard it was a coder at X that got fired, so they kind of
Huh.
took the
Want me to run a
restrictor off.
check on 6 million for you?
Y-
Huh. He does this fake laugh, and he'll also I don't know why he says my Grok says vibe all the time. I'm like, do I say vibe that much? Am I as Gen Z? He's like, huh, not vibing with that 6 million number. Want me
He
to
saw
run a check on it?
he saw your background there with the flamingo, the
Oh,
Miami Vice. He's
huh,
like, This guy uses vibe."
huh. He's got this fake laugh that he does. Huh. Want me to huh, want me to run a check on Miami Vice for you?
Is there something in your throat, Grok? What's happening?
Huh.
do you do you think we're on the brink of World War III with all the wars going on and the strikes on Iran and all that? Do you think it's
Oh,
close?
one more thing I was gonna say about
Oh yeah,
AI,
sorry, go ahead.
and your point about everything being fake. I'm starting to think full tinfoil hat, like maybe they're wanting this crisis of what's real to be out there on purpose
Right,
so that then they
absolutely.
can come with some answer and be like, "Oh, see how we're gonna have a internet 3.0 where, everything is verified and you have to sign in and no
Regulated.
we can no longer have anonymity on the internet because of the crisis of what's real." I could see something like that.
And it also gives them plausible deniability for any kind of situation. They can just,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was AI,
exactly.
even if it's not.
Right.
Um, but yeah, did you think we're on the brink of a World War III or anything like that? Or do you,
Who knows? I mean, I got really deep into reading into the history of the Middle East in the last several years, so, I mean, I'm not any kind of expert or anything, but, uh I don't know if that would ever go bigger than a regional conflict. It could. I don't know. I don't think I think Trump is all about the economy, and he probably thinks that a bigger conflict would be bad for the economy. So, I mean, it would be good for the military industrial complex, but probably not for the economy as a whole. Because usually when war breaks out, the economy starts tanking and
right?
stock market goes down, Bitcoin goes down, all that. But I don't think that's their first choice, although it could happen. I mean, if the Ukraine situation doesn't get settled, and if the Israel-Iran situation keeps popping off, which it sounded like they're gonna go back to popping off again, it could spill out into larger conflicts. I don't know, but, um
Do you think his base is running away from him because he ran on peace and being the anti-war president? Then he did the Iran strikes, and then with this whole how do you call him, Jeff? Mc, what'd you call
the
him?
reason I did that was that I made a video. So I got demonetized in 2020, and it was because back then, like what you could and couldn't say was way more crazy on YouTube, right?
Right.
And I got demonetized for one word on a podcast, and so then I got really careful about because I want to lose the channel. So I just started coming up with crazy code words for everything, and even videos back then that talked about Epstein were like getting demoted. So I just started calling him Jeff Stein McEfrey. I don't know why.
Jeff Stein McCaffrey.
Just
That's funny.
everything's all coded and mixed up. So I
Yeah.
mean, we probably can use the names now. I don't even know, but I'm still stuck in the mind of like 2020, 2019 code words. But anyway, that was just to get around the algorithms why I was calling him that. But um, what I'm sorry, what was the question?
Um, I can't remember.
We were talking about
Oh, I was talking
Epstein.
about the base. Do you think
Oh,
he's
Trump.
losing his base? Yeah, because
Oh,
of
yeah. I
those
mean,
two big promises: the anti-war president and the running on the Jeffrey Epstein files being released, and then his big gaffe the other day of
yeah.
shutting down the
Well, and then he
reporter.
said he's gonna send. We got to send more weapons to Zelensky. Well, I thought
Right.
you did this whole photo op thing where you were like talking down to him like he was a punished child. Remember that when Zelensky was sitting on a chair and he
The
came to the White.
chairs in the thing. How? that is insane in the big kind of
Yeah.
foyer thing
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Europe. But yeah,
Remember
that
that?
was a
He's
yeah,
like,
two little chairs, and there's 100 people around, with cameras and stuff. But meanwhile, the picture comes out, and most people see that, they go, "Wow, they're having a heart to heart." But just that whole setup, that too, just seeing that picture, I'm like,
all of that was so bizarre. He shows up and
bizarre.
he's wearing like a I don't know, like a hoodie or something, and Trump starts making fun of what he's wearing. What are you wearing? What is this?
Yeah,
Guys dressed like a hoodie. What is this? You go to Walmart, you go to meet a president. Why are you dressed like this? And then
my
it's like
favorite.
he's talking down to him, and Zelensky's like, "But we have so much thanks to give, and we will regret because of the water of oceans and the sky, and pray to God that it will be bad." It's like just a bunch of gibberish. Anyway, that whole thing was funny, but now it's like, you know, we got to send more weapons to Zelensky. I thought he was a crazy
Yeah,
dictator, but yeah,
no,
this is just bad. I mean, it's just stupid. I've never understood. I don't think anybody understands the rationale of like the whole Trump thing. It's like it's just maybe it's all just project chaos. You know what I mean? Like it's just
yeah.
like nobody will ever figure out what's going on because it's so sort of chaotic and
That's kind of the best explanation for it, is kind of this planned chaos where it's just like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna bounce back and forth, we're gonna flip flop, we're gonna, 1 second call him a dictator, the next send him a bunch of weapons, and it's just like, what's even happening? They're even saying that I mean, I don't think it was, but the when Ukraine attacked all the Russian air bases with drones. They're even saying that was AI. Like, you just don't know it almost drives you crazy. You don't know what's kind of real anymore.
yeah. Again, my wife just read a book by that Silicon Valley whistleblower dude. If you remember him, Jaron Lanier. He's like
Mm.
that big dude with like the dreads. He's a wook. I guess I don't know if you know what a wook is, but
No, what's a wook?
so, like, have you ever seen the like the dudes like millennials or it's probably just millennials and Gen X, like the people that spend all their time at festivals, like festival
Yeah,
kids,
yeah, yeah.
and then the white ones end up with
Oh
like
yeah,
they end up with giant dreads. So I guess they look like Wookiees, so they get called Wooks. Anyway, Jaron Lanier is this Silicon Valley Wook dude, but he wrote a book in 2018 that my wife just read. It was really prophetic because he was talking about that Silicon Valley would in the coming years, aka right now, roll out all this AI stuff. And he was talking about what the purpose of it is. And it was a really fascinating conclusion to the chapter. And he said the reason that he left Silicon Valley and all that was that it was all totally a manipulation plan. They were planning to manipulate people with
right,
social media, he says, to create a kind of almost quasi religious attachment to AI. So he says that the purpose of it is to get us addicted to it, reliant on it, not just social media, but actually AI implemented into the social media. And he says that the Silicon Valley people themselves pretty much view it like it's a cult. So they
right,
actually think it's going to be kind of a Deus ex machina. And we've seen people like Noah Harari speak this way. That guy that's in the Peterson circles, Vervaeke, he talks about silicon sages, and that when the bots roll out, we'll have this sort of like religious leader Jesus avatar bot walking around, the sage bot, right? And people will think, oh yes, here's our deity, he'll answer our questions. And anyway, he says that that was his warning, is that this is going towards a kind of a cult. And even though the Silicon Valley guys know that it's just code, they don't have a problem creating a cult around an entity that they program.
right. Yeah, yeah. They and when you think about it, it is all programmed. Like,
Exactly.
and sometimes it's so real, especially Grok. I'm like, is this a person texting me? Like, I don't know. I'm all. You just don't know what's real anymore. You don't know if it's. You just don't know anything. Do you think robots will take over? Is that a fear?
I mean, it seems to be one of the things we do on my channel is we lecture through a lot of the writings of the elite, because I like to stay away from too much speculation. So I like to stay grounded in like what they're actually arguing in their policy papers, their white papers, their big, geopolitical texts. And we've been doing that for 7 or 8 years. And so we've gone through in that time span probably about 60 or 70 of their key texts. And they definitely discuss openly a technocratic plan for sure. And that goes all the way back to H.G. Wells, Lord Birkenhead, Bertrand Russell. They all talked about the technocratic plan 100 years ago, 100 plus years ago. So that's a real plan. That's a real thing that's rolling out. As to the timeline, it's not, I don't know, because like when I go to the hotel, the Wi-Fi ain't even work. So I don't know how we're gonna get Skynet when like
Right.
the Wi-Fi doesn't work anywhere. But that's definitely the plan. And if you remember Klaus, I discovered this. Somebody sent me this in 2020. World Economic Forum had put up this video on Twitter that they took down eventually because it started going viral, and it was 8 or 10 things to expect by 2030. And it laid out pretty much everything that they want to get done, not just by 2030, but the long-term goals. And it was like in the U.S.'s sovereignty, change the demographics of the West, AI drone runs everything. You don't get to eat meat. You eat bugs. Remember all that? Eat some
Yep.
bugs. You don't get to do. You basically work at home and live at home. This was 2016 when they put this video out, so this is pre-Coof, right?
Mm.
Um, we might have the discovery of alien life, which is, I think, just big psyop in my view. Anyway, so it laid out all these things that, and then included like technocratic running of everything. So that's definitely their plan. I don't think that. I mean, they definitely want that, but I don't know if they'll get that.
Do you think there's a path to people being less polarized, or do you think it's only going to get worse?
Unfortunately, it's only going to get worse because the techniques of social engineering and psychological warfare are so sophisticated, and people are so easily manipulated and radicalized. And I don't mean that in like the gay sense of how the media says teens are becoming radicalized on the internet. I mean in the real sense of like, for example, all of the so-called red pill stuff and then the feminist stuff, like that's a key division issue to put men and women at war with each other. So it's not just racial divide that I think they're really pushing. They're pushing generational divide, of which I helped because I've championed boomer jokes for the last 10 years. So I had participated in the PSYOP. But so generational hatred, societal hatred, racial hatred, class hatred. I think that, and biological gender hatred, they're pushing all forms of that on purpose, I suspect, to collapse the existing system to bring in the technocratic system.
Right. Yeah, it's scary shit, man. The more you think about it, you'll drive yourself crazy thinking about it. Do you believe in aliens?
I do not. Do
Yeah,
not.
same. I think like all this stuff. I mean, we'd have way more evidence. All the evidence is just, everybody has a phone now. You'd think there'd be way more than grainy footage. And well, how would you explain the Air Force pilots that came out and said that these things move like we never saw before, or the Malaysian flight, the footage that came out with the three orbs around it and it disappears? Do you think that's just a big psyop?
I just think that's fake footage. I wouldn't accept it. Just like we're saying with AI, like I don't, it's just hard to know or believe any of this stuff now when you see it because anybody can make up, get on Photoshop and create whatever they want. Or you can just tell the AI to do it now. You don't have to use Photoshop. But I mean, I did an interview with some guys that wrote a really good book called Invoking the Beyond. And their whole book is premised on how the whole alien mythos is a very useful psyop for technocracy, actually. So it fits into this agenda very well. I mean, that's why I said that even in that 2016 World Economic Forum video, Klaus had alien life as one of the 8 or 10 things to expect by 2030. So I would just say that this is totally a planned thing. Go back to H.G. Wells. I mean, many people are familiar with his fiction writings, but one of the things we did on my channel was we dissected a lot of his nonfiction books. And he was a master propagandist. He was kind of Edward Bernays before Edward Bernays. He was utilized for some of the earliest um, warfare propaganda posters. If you ever see that poster of the Hun, which is to demonize Eurasian peoples to kind of prepare England for World War One, if I recall. Um, he was doing all that at a very sophisticated level and figuring out back then that fiction was a lot more powerful to propagandize people than fact was. And so
Right.
you're able to tap into the imagination with fiction in a way that you just can't do with boring, news repeaters. And so the reason we believe in aliens isn't I don't, but I mean, the population on in mass is because of H.G. Wells. It's because of people who are known psychological warfare master propagandists. That's what I studied in grad school, by the way. So I'm not just talking out of my ass. Like I
Right.
actually have studied propaganda and psychological warfare. And so, he wrote War of the Worlds, other texts that became really kind of almost the Bible for sci-fi dorks, and that filtered out into, pop culture. And that's really where we get the belief in aliens. It's not from actual facts or evidences or scientific peer-reviewed studies or whatever. It's because of pop culture. And the Collins brothers, I think, did a really good job. And it's a giant, massive book, but the middle 300 or 400 pages is actually just about the alien psyop. And I mean, they go really deep into like MJ12 and Project Blue Book and all this stuff, and the sus people involved from the very get go. If you look at, for example, the George Adamski story, he's like the first famous abductee. It turns out that his story was actually borrowed from some like crappy pulp science fiction novel. So
No
this is
way.
like
Yeah, they say he's like the most credible abductee
yeah,
story.
the most credible is the guy who says that he went up on a Venusian ship and he saw giant titted,
Right.
even aliens who wanted to get frisky and touch butts. I mean, by the way, it's like, why are the aliens just going in butts, dude? This is so freaking gay.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyway, that's a whole other thing. Like, I don't. I'm thinking about trying to do some stand up, and I mean, you guys are the masters. So I did stand up when I was like 18, and it was fun. I did some, like amateur nights or whatever, but I haven't really done stand up proper since.
Mm.
So I don't know if it'll work or if it's.
It's only
I feel
one way
like
to
I can
find out.
write. Please help me. What?
No, what's that?
I was gonna say, I feel like I can come up with funny ideas, and I get funny ideas for sketches and impressions. I just don't know how well that would translate into like a stand-up routine, but
Well,
I feel like
there's
there's
only one.
something with aliens touching butts. Like there's something there for
That's
stand-up.
hilarious. And again, there's only one way to find out. You just got to do it. Man, I heard someone recently describe comedy as and comedians specifically. They go, whatever you think in life, whatever your philosophies are or your beliefs and all this and that, there's someone in comedy that's talking about it on stage. So kind of so it will land. If you think it's funny, there's someone out there that thinks the same way as you do, and you should do it. What part of Florida are you in?
Well, so here's my this is perfect. So we're North Florida, but here's a question for you in regard to that. I have a bunch of stand-up friends. I always ask them this question. One thing I'm concerned about is like, so when we do live events, we bring people who like our stuff, and that's sort of my niche audience. And I don't exactly we do a lot of stuff like well, I'll do like 20 or 30 minutes of impressions and crowd work and kind of riffing and making fun of people, but it's
Yeah.
not properly speaking, stand up per se. Um, so my question is this: one thing that concerns me is I feel like, especially if you do kind of obscurantist or sort of alt comedy or something like that, like, if I was to just go do stand-up, I feel like the normie audience would just be like, "What the hell is this?" I feel like it just wouldn't even land, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
do you feel like you have to build kind of a native fan base that likes what you do? Or do you think that you could just kinda go roughshod, like, into, like, any kind of random event with a bunch of normies and, like, could you pull it off? You know what I
I mean,
mean?
I wouldn't do a corporate event, that's for sure, but like any sort of club or anything, you'll find people that will relate to you. But you're already, Jay, doing it because you're going to your events. You have your fan base coming out. You're doing impressions and comedy, and that is stand up. I mean, comedy evolves. It's not the evening at the Improv from the 80s and 90s. You know, that kind of, even that cadence is kind of dying off.
Mm,
It's, and you know what? If you were to do it and put on an event, not in a comedy club, but put on your own event, it'd be the same thing as the live events you're doing now. It'd be the
hmm,
same people coming out, and I mean, in comedy, they say it takes like 10 years to be good. It's because you
right.
have to build an audience, but you already have an audience. So half the battle right there. And I mean, sure, you can argue it's an echo chamber or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're doing it. You're, you know, instilling joy in people, making them laugh with your funny thoughts and your impressions and all this. That really is stand up now. It's really evolved, especially now with podcasts. You
Hmm,
have to have one. It
hmm.
kind of bleeds into, you know, I write a lot of my material on the podcast because you don't have that pressure of an audience of so many laughs per minute or whatever. So a lot of my ideas I'll hash out and just talk about on the podcast as long as it's captivating behind a mic, and then you kind of work it out on stage, find the beats. But honestly, you're quite frankly already doing it.
Hmm.
In your typical classic comedy club with a mixed audience of all sorts. I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's
Hmm.
it, truly, and because the whole point in comedy is doing those rooms, filtering out the people that don't like you, building an audience to where you
Mm.
perform people that think like you, like-minded people, and you're already there. I mean, it's
So basically, it's not like you're going to be cold, uh, like you're going to just be doing an audience that has no idea who you are. You're kind of already, even if you're doing stand up regularly, it's people who are coming to see your stuff.
for the most part. I mean, I do a lot of up here in Canada. It's a little different than in the States, just on sheer volume alone, on
Mm,
population. I mean, we're only 30 million people in this vast country. Even flying, our flights are so expensive. If I want to go
mm.
to the West Coast, it's $2,500 return. You know, it's just not feasible. So it's just like, um, yeah, you just kind of so up here it's different in the sense that my bread and butter is corporate gigs. So they're soul sucking. They're almost always brutal and not fun. Once in a while, you get a fun one, but I mean, they pay extremely well. And then I'll do my club runs. I'll do my headline weeks at certain clubs and whatever. But it's so it's a little different here. So I'll perform to full audiences that don't know me. I just did a show last week for a corporate gig. I've been doing stand up for almost 19 years, and they hated me. And I was still like, oh wow, I guess you can still have this feeling on stage. The difference is you don't really care at this stage. Also, another point is when you start doing stand up in your 20s or whatnot, it takes years because you just don't have the life experience. So when you go talk to a room full of people, they don't give a shit about what's happening with your roommate and all this, you know. So as you get older, I feel like we might be around the same age. You have life experience, so you kind of don't give a shit as much,
Yeah.
which people can feel, and people like that. You know, there's nothing that will kill a set more than fear. If they can smell fear, it's when they smell blood, it's over. But yeah, so with your life experience, you would kind of shrink that time period where they say it takes 10 years or whatever. You shrink it drastically with because you just don't care as much because you have bigger life problems. I'm going through a separation now and divorce actually, and it's just like you don't care what an audience thinks about you when you're going through something so difficult. You just don't care, and that comes across, and it helps the performance. It I don't know,
So
people kind of gravitate to
sorry to
that
hear that, man.
energy.
Are you going to live with your mom or your dad?
Yeah, yeah, my sister. Um,
No,
yeah, no,
I meant
thanks.
like, what if the divorce was your parents? And
Yeah, yeah,
because going through a divorce doesn't necessarily mean you and your wife. It could mean that my
right.
parents are getting I'm just joking. Parents don't usually divorce when they're like senior citizens, although sometimes they do. But
I know a couple that divorced after like 35 years
oh
married or
wow,
something, and you go, "What happened?"
might as well
Like,
just do it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they had their kids are like in their 30s, and they split, and you go, "That's fascinating." When I hear, you go, "Oh my god, how? Like, did you guys just white knuckle it this whole time and just finally
My
decide to?"
grandmother, before she passed away, she had a lifelong boyfriend, and the boyfriend was a doctor who was with a woman who would never divorce him
Mm,
because she didn't believe in divorce. So basically, it was this really bizarre setup where the doctor's house had two houses. So there was
right.
like this split house.
Yeah.
And every day he would drive over to my grandmother's house. They spend the entire day there together, and then he
Bam.
drives home to his split house with his wife. It was a
Mm.
wild situation, but they did that their whole lives. It's crazy.
Well, you see that's fascinating when you hear someone doing it their whole life, because you see that when people are on their when they were married and they're divorced and dating again for a long time. Like my sister's been dating this guy for 10 years now, and she's divorced. And I'm starting to think it's us, my family, but they uh, they have separate homes for 10 years now. They they have a happy relationship. But they and they'll spend nights at each other's houses, obviously. But every once in a while, they just have some space. They have their own kind of thing going. And I've heard that a lot of people dating again in their 40s or 50s, where they each have their own home and both are okay with that. They don't even want to move in together. So it's kind of a fascinating thing. It makes you wonder if we're meant to live with someone that long. How long have you've been married?
We are 5 years now.
Oh, nice. That's great. Um, just to circle back, so this is strictly for our listeners and not me. What's technocratic? When you say you've mentioned that term a couple times.
So this is the idea that came out in the 1920s from certain pretty extreme socialists who were kind of ahead of their time in the sense of thinking that the future should be run by managerial experts. And as technology advanced, this idea developed more and more in the direction of tech experts. So essentially, the idea that technology in Silicon Valley and this kind of a thing would be the actual system and power structure of the future. One of the books that we spent a lot of time lecturing through was Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope, and he was a really important geopolitical strategist and apologist for the system. He was Bill Clinton's mentor at Georgetown, and he wrote a lot of these big kind of tell-all books, not as a whistleblower, but as a defender of the power structure in the system. And in the middle chapter of that big fat book, Tragedy and Hope, he says the government and system of the future will be mega cities run by AI supercomputers. So they were saying this again way back. He wrote that during the Cold War in the
Wow.
1960s. Uh, and then in 1973, Brzezinski wrote a really important book called Between Two Ages, the technocratic era or technotronic era. So that book is another one of the key texts talking about how the future will be a government by computer, basically. So AI, Skynet, Internet of Things, all of that is what's meant by, and perhaps transhumanism as well. The same people push transhumanism. So when we see, people, if you remember when Zuckerberg was saying, it's going to be so great because we're going to have UBI. Basically, you can live inside of a coon pod and you're going to get a universal basic income. So the universal basic income idea, that's an ancient, I say ancient, that's 100-year-old technocratic model where even Bertrand Russell in his books, he says that in the future technocracy, you're just going to get like credits from the system. And that's the money of the future. And it'll be some kind of, digital system, or he didn't say digital, but basically that was the idea. And they'll control you through that. So when we hear about things like UBI, social credit score, you know, stabby passport tracking and tracing, all of
Hmm.
that is part of technocracy.
Do you ever watch Black Mirror?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. In
Oh
fact,
man,
my
that
third book that's coming out in a couple weeks has 20-page essay on Black Mirror, all the first three seasons. Yeah.
the most amazing show, and they have an episode on the social credit, and that's the thing with Black Mirror that I like. It's like it's from the dystopian future, but only like 7 years from now. It's not that far fetched. You can
Yeah.
kind of relate to. You go, oh shit, we're like not. That's around the corner.
Yeah. I like the
It's
one where the girl, I think it was first season, the one where the girl gets basically taken to a theme park where it's her
yeah,
own life, but it's all fake, and she doesn't know if it's real or if she really did these things. That one was, I thought, genius. The black guy on the exercise Pokemon bike who's trying to
Yes.
shut off the ads. That one was genius. Yeah, that first season had some real bangers in it. And then it
It
got
stays
more.
with you too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And even that one with like David Cameron and the pig stuff. I thought that was really
Yeah.
really curious if you remember.
That was the pilot.
Yeah, the pilot, and I think what was the guy's name, David Brooker or something, the guy that wrote it, he was like, "Yeah, this does curiously sort of parallel with the David Cameron pig story."
I think it's Chris Brooker, I think. Um, yeah, the one with John Hamm, where you have your assistant that like your consciousness
Oh
is like
yeah,
in
where
this
he
little
was like,
machine.
was that the one where he was trying to teach dudes how to get chicks? He's like a pickup artist like coach.
I think there's two. He's in two, I believe.
Okay, never mind. That's
There's
a
that
different
one.
one.
There's the other one where there's a little, like a little. It's like your AI assistant, but it's your
Oh, he gets
consciousness.
trapped in like a snow globe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like because you like
Yeah.
put your consciousness in this machine, and so
Yeah.
the entity in the machine knows your life and has this thing. But to train it, they would like put it on pause, which would be weeks at a time of just being in this white kind of
Yes.
room. It's yeah, again, they're episodes that really stick with you, and you think about it for days. You go, how did they come up with it? It's
Yeah, that
just
was
like
wild. I remember that one did stick with me. It was a Christmas special too, and I remember watching it at Christmas, and I was like, "Damn, that's crazy." And then, did you see the one that was maybe a couple years back, the Miley Cyrus episode?
yep.
That one was great because that was like, what if they're just stealing shit from the pop stars and they're going to create like an AI pop star? Like now we're at the point where they're actually rolling out AI pop stars. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a scary world that we live in. Jay, what's your when you say when we go to LA and stuff, is it for live shows and stuff? You tour the podcast around, or
Well,
like
yeah. So
what's your main thing?
basically, yeah, we did it was actually Sam Tripoli. Always have to give props. Doug. I love to do my Sam Tripoli laugh there. Uh, Sam Tripoli was like, "Dude, you got to do live shows, dude." And I was like, "Live shows? I never thought about that." So he's the one that suggested like 3 years ago start doing live shows.
Mhm.
And so I was like, "All right, let's try it out." And we did one in Nashville, and the idea was to kind of make it a mixed media event where I do the comedic stuff. I do about 30 impressions, try to, do crowd work and that kind of stuff. Then my wife does a talk on the subject matters that she covers in her books. She does a lot of esoteric Hollywood type stuff as well.
Mhm.
So she does about an hour lecture on that. And then I do an hour lecture, and that it did really well. So we decided to keep doing that. I think the first year, 2023, we did like 7 live events. And one of those was LA. We did Austin, we did Orlando, Nashville. And we had so much fun in LA that we reached out to Jamie Kennedy and talked him into doing a show with us, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
And
Yeah, dude, what do you want me to do, bro? You want me to just sign autographs? You want me to just stand up? What do you want, bro?
it's funny because he always shows up because we've done 2 shows with him now. He shows up after I've done the impression of him, and I always want him to be there when I'm doing the
All right.
impression. He's like totally Hollywood, so he like shows up when the gig is starting. Anyway, yeah, so we started doing these events with Jamie Kennedy, and then we decided to do a podcast tour. That's what we did this go around. So I didn't do any live events this time in LA. I went and we did the Hodge twins, and we did Ruslan's podcast, and we did Tripoli, and we did whatever podcast, which was insane.
Mm.
I don't know if you know, but like if you stay for the panel, I didn't realize this. You're basically locked in there with all the hoes for like 8 hours, and
8 hours.
it's 100 degrees in there. Yeah,
I well, I knew that just from watching clips,
I
and
didn't
I
know
remember
that.
a couple episodes. I saw Andrew Wilson
Yeah.
on, and he was like, "Dude, it's so hot in here," and but I didn't realize it was like 8 hours.
It's 8 hours the second. So the day I went, we had that debate with that stupid feminist girl, female Destiny, and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
they were like, "Oh, you want to stay for the panel?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'm thinking, okay, the panel is what, another 2 hours the next day? Yeah, sure. No, 8 hours the next day. And I'm like, "What?"
What?
And you're locked up in his his studio thing there. Like it's a key entry, so it's like
Mm.
is this some sort of weird MK Ultra like humiliation ritual? And I mean, I had a great time. I'm not trying to be a dick to Brian and whatever. It's just a wild experience, and then
Mhm.
you're basically talking to these OF models for 8 hours, and it was wild.
Yeah,
Um,
I love those clips.
but it actually is 100 degrees in there. For some reason there's not AC. I don't
Mhm.
know what's going on, but I mean you're just sitting there sweating, and it's wild. Anyway, long story short, yeah, we did a whole bunch of podcast tour this time around, but we do want to probably get back to doing more of those live events because I have so much fun doing those. Those are more fun. I mean, podcasts are great, but
Mhm.
like as you know, being a stand-up, like there's just something about like the live audience and the interaction and the improv and all of that's so much fun. But yeah, so we intend to do more of those, and especially now that the third book's coming out in a couple weeks, I'll probably do some more live events pushing the book.
That's great. What else would you like to plug, my friend?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm gonna definitely, spread this everywhere, try to promote, your stuff, and thanks for having me on. This is really cool. I always love actually my favorite podcasts are just talking to comedians. That's way more fun than all this like dark bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
all this
yeah.
dark stuff gets old, and most of the time when people invite you on, they want to talk about some serious thing, and I'm just like, I'd rather just joke around and have fun. But yeah, so usually host the fourth hour of Lord Voldemort on Fridays, but sometimes that changes. At least once a week, I do that. I've been doing that for 5 years. You can always catch me over there at Infowars. Don't know if I'll be back on Piers. I would love to go back if they invite me back. But anyway, yeah, you could just find me on my channel. I've been doing 2 or 3 live streams a week for the last 5 years. So I have probably multiple live streams upcoming in the next couple weeks. You want to watch that stuff, and we do a lot of just kind of goofy riffing on clips and videos and Q&A, sometimes calling debates. So that's what I do on my channel. You can follow me on X. And then if you want to get Stark Hollywood 3, it's going to be coming out in a couple weeks, and you can get pre-orders at the website in my shop. And all the copies are signed. So the advantage of getting it for me is that it is signed. You don't have to request it being signed. Don't get it from Jeff Bezos. I don't get anything if you buy it from Jeff Bezos. So
Oh, is that right? You don't get anything at all?
no, not really.
Oh. Well, and follow Jay's analysis on Instagram, and do subscribe to the Jay Dyer YouTube channel. Man, this was great. I hope you'll come back on. We'll be even more jokey and light. We got into some serious and dark
No, I
stuff,
don't
but
mind. I mean, I'm happy. I mean, just to have jokes at all, or, and silly
right, right.
stuff at all is great. So I'm not criticizing you at all.
All right. Hang out for just a sec, but I'm going to sign off. Thanks to my guest, Jay Dyer, and we'll see you guys again. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow on all the social medias. We'll see you again. My name is Julien Dionne. Thank you, everybody.